Once upon a time, beyond the mountains of must and the rivers of routine, there was a quiet, shimmering kingdom called Someday. You wouldn't find it on a map. It drifted somewhere between dreams and delay. A place where every heart held a fire, but few ever struck the match. The people of Someday were dreamers. Every home had blueprints for inventions never built, songs never sung, gardens never planted. Ideas grew wild in Someday, like flowers that bloomed in the mind but never touched soil. Among these dreamers lived a young man named Eli, bright-eyed, full of wonder, always thinking. He had notebooks filled with plans, a flying machine, a floating bakery, a new design for the village windmill. He carried these ideas in a thick, leather-bound journal called the Book of Intentions. It was heavy, not from the pages inside, but from all the things he said he'd start tomorrow. Eli believed in his dreams, but he believed in later even more. Each morning, he would sit under the golden leaf tree near his cottage and think, "Today, I'll begin." Then he'd glance at the sky, or feel a yawn stretch through him, or remember something else, and quietly promise himself, tomorrow will be better for this. What Eli didn't know was that the entire kingdom of Someday had fallen under an old spell, a whispering curse cast by a sly and subtle creature known as Later. Later didn't shout. He didn't roar. He didn't scare people. He simply whispered gentle things, reasonable things. "You're tired," he'd say. "Start when the timing is right. You're not ready yet. There's still plenty of time." People in Someday called these voices common sense, but they were chains. One evening, as a slow mist rolled across the valley, Eli wandered farther than usual, beyond the comfort of his tree, past the edges of his routine. There, at the border of Someday, he met a traveler. She was older, with silver in her hair and dust on her boots. Her name was Noah. "You're a thinker," she said, looking at him with curious eyes. "But what have you done?" "I have plans," Eli replied, a little defensive. "Big ones, brilliant ones. I just haven't started yet." Noah nodded. "Ah, then you've met Later." Eli tilted his head. "The voice? You've heard it too?" "Oh, I've heard him for years," Noah said. "But I stopped listening the day I found the land of regret." She pointed beyond the fog. "It begins just past your porch," she whispered. "Every road you don't walk becomes part of it. Every dream untried, every sentence unwritten, every step not taken. They fall there. And once they land, they vanish." That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He dreamed of a vast, dry desert, cracked and lifeless. Scattered across the sand were broken clocks and forgotten books. Above it all, a familiar whisper. "You have time. Don't rush. Tomorrow is safer." When he awoke, the fog outside his window felt heavier than usual. He turned to his Book of Intentions. The lock was cold in his hands. But this time, he opened it. He flipped past pages of Someday, past the drafts and doodles until he found a blank sheet titled simply, "Today." He picked up his tools, found some scraps of wood, and began. It was clumsy work. The wings of his flying machine wobbled, the gears jammed. The first test flight collapsed into a haystack, but Eli laughed, because it was real. Not perfect, not finished, but real. And something strange began to happen. The skies above Someday started to clear. Neighbors peeked out from their windows. Children watched him work. One by one, they brought their own dusty books. They began to build, to write, to plant. The windmill spun for the first time in years. Songs echoed through the hills. The fog began to lift. Far away in the woods, Later stirred. He didn't like what he saw. He crept back toward the village, his voice rising. "You'll burn out," he hissed. "You're rushing. It's not ready. You're not ready." But Eli had learned something. Action, even imperfect, had a magic to it. One step led to another. One effort sparked momentum, and momentum was Later's only enemy. He met Noah again, one morning on the ridge. "The curse is breaking," she said, smiling. "But be careful," she warned. "Later doesn't die. He evolves. He becomes doubt. He wears the mask of perfectionism. He hides inside comfort. He will always try to return." Eli nodded. He understood now. The kingdom was no longer Someday. Without a grand ceremony, without a single trumpet or crown, the land had changed. Through the hammering of nails, the scribbling of pens, the dirty hands of gardeners, it had become something else, the kingdom of today. Not perfect, not easy, but alive. And in the center of it all stood Eli, no longer a dreamer chained to maybe, but a doer grounded in now, because he knew something many still didn't, that the future is built, not wished, and that every dream lives or dies in the moments we choose to begin. So ask yourself, what road are you waiting to walk? What dream is locked inside your own book of intentions? And more importantly, what will you do today